All right. We are back after a short hiatus for health and other scheduling reasons. We are in Operation Bronze Pool, Part 2. This would be episode 20, if my notes are correct. Um, you have been tasked, you, the Ember Wolves, have been tasked with assisting a couple members of a detached Legion squad that was geshed or oathbound uh, by the Horned One when Ettenmark fell. They went off to go do their own thing, and have been kind of going south of. They've been running sort of a parallel track to you guys. You guys have cut right across the middle of Aldermark. They've been running a more southerly course on their own uh, side quest, as it were. And a couple of their specialists are here in Fort Callisto with you. They are in the catacombs, underneath the fort itself, or the city of Fort Callisto, really, looking for. Uh, they are looking for a map that is on a shield that belonged to the Emperor's lover when he or she or they, were buried uh, here, in these catacombs. What you discovered, two major things. One is there is a whole underground palace complex that was built in the style of above ground palaces, an above ground imperial palace, a full, basically a version of the closest analog I can think of would be something like either Angkor Wat or the Burj Khalifa or the Forbidden City. Really, the Forbidden City more than the others. A fully walled palace complex. It's just so here the walls are earth, an entire earthen ramparts, um, and populated it with a bunch of dead, presumably servants and possibly lovers. It seems like. Um, you were currently, when we last left off, you were in what passed for the Imperial throne room, or what the analog would have been the Imperial throne room, trying to find hints on where specifically uh, this concubine, this lover, might have been buried, because it is quite a sprawling complex. There are caved in areas because it was built and excavated something like 400 to 800 years ago. Um, and you're not alone. You encountered some undead resistance on the way in, and it seems that the undead might also be looking for maybe the same thing, or they are just looking down here for their own things, and it just happens to be coinciding with you. But there is a significant undead presence, and in fact, your trail has been picked up, and you have undead forces that are following along behind you. I think, to sort of segue us back in, we actually see one of the black armored, full plate, black oak knights come across a little piece of cloth or something that might have been dropped or discarded in that fight with the gaunt early on, and they pick up a little scrap of cloth, and they look farther down into the tunnels past the undead. Don't exactly, they are corpses, but they also have corpses if you kill them. But the evidence of a fight with the gaunt, and they look farther down into the darkness towards this sort of green alchemical glow. So they're actually quite close to finding you. We have a couple clocks on the table. There is a 6 clock, you to find the lover's sarcophagus, and that I think will be it to complete the mission. There might be a complication depending on if this other clock fills up, which is they find it and you, which there are only two segments left on said clock. Um, so that's kind of where we stand. When the very last thing that we saw actually was Adhikar reading from I kind of whiffle waffled a little bit on it, whether it was a very mummy-esque Book of the Dead, or rather these giant actually wall panels, sort of inserts, curtains essentially with writing on them, uh, looking very much from like Hero or Shadow, those movies. Uh, but as Adhikar was reading from it aloud, the crow managed to stop him before he activated some of the undead guards who are standing at some of these doorways. Uh, the crow perhaps has a little bit more knowledge of undead activation phrases from the time of the Empire, and was able to stop Adhikar before essentially saying, "Wake up and fight, wake up and fight, wake up and fight." Um, but that's where we left off. Your task currently is to find the lover's sarcophagus. You could just go looking around and digging. You could continue. I don't know if continuing to look at this book will really yield any more answers. But there might be other clues around. Um, yeah, you've got the crow and bone standing path there with you. But I'll just kind of turn it over to you guys. Anything you guys want to get up to while you're here?
Yes, after the crow stops me mid read, I um and it's explained that that would have been really bad. Um, I think I think I turned to Crow and ask, well, if you understand how this is set up, then do you see any directions towards the sarcophagus we're looking for? This is all uh very confusing. It's unusual to me. It's not none of this is Spartan, you know.
Cool. So you're gonna talk to the crow. Um, Anybody else have anything they want to split off before we follow that thread? Okay. Um, the crow kind of does a little sort of head tilt. She's wearing that a plague doctor mask, and you get the sense there are very real eyes on the other side of the glass goggles that are, sort of peering at you. Um, she says, language and architecture are two different skills. I understand what you were about to read is not particularly something we want to invite into this space. There are three different if this is following a pattern from above, there are different sub palaces, different chambers. This seems to be styled after Emperor Justarian during his reign. He had three concubines that we know of, and she gives a few different names. One was situated in the East Palace, the West Palace, and the North Palace. But each of them had their own sequestered existence to minimize, shall we say, chafing and conflict in one another's spaces. We could split into three different teams and go looking at each one.
We don't have much time. Maybe dividing and conquering does make sense.
I think at that bone standing path has been like picking his teeth with something that passes for a toothpick. Um, he is Panyar, uh, mutton chops, has these sort of elongated canines and elfin ears. He is, however, as long as we stop standing around here, no time wasting. Um, hmm. Actually, no. Oh, that's not what I want at all. Nope, that's not what I want. In any case, as I struggle to figure out how to use draw tools on roll 20, um, yeah, could split out, go into three different areas. Um,
I think splitting
All
up sounds
told,
like
how many of us are there?
there's the four of you. Actually, sorry, five. There's five rookies. One of the rookies is NPC'd. Um, and the crow and bone standing path. So seven total.
so we can go two each.
Two, two, and three.
Yeah. I mean, time's a wasting, so that sounds like the best way to do it.
Right. Um, who looks the strongest of the five of you, I wonder? The five Ember Wolves, because that's who Bone is going to want to come with him. Um,
I'm a reasonable skirmisher, but I'm really twitchy right now.
yeah, that's true.
Liam would say it's him. Probably isn't, but
It's not Scarlet. I think Scarlet looks the weakest. I think she's very much like, I mean, like she's some type of soldier, but like I think it's very clear that she is sent on missions for her ability to like rig stuff up and like think her way out of things, not because she can punch her way out of things. So I think she is kind of instinctively going to um like when this idea of splitting up is floated, I think she's going to kind of stand by Adhikar because he's protected her before. So she's like, okay, I guess that's us.
So we have Adhikar and Scarlet. Liam can run out with Bone. Uh, Earl Alistair, you can probably head with the Crow. And that leaves Nicotine. Nicotine Quick Eye. Nicotine probably can head with the rookies since the other two have a specialist. Having three together makes the most sense. Unless who's in charge of this mission? Um, I don't remember.
Was
That
this
was the Marcher Lord
it was
because
his
he got
redemption?
called out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Marcher Lord, you should be the one separating people into groups. What are your thoughts?
yeah, he would do as previously described. Keep the three rookies together. Make sure everyone else was uh, paired, mostly balanced way. He can't fuck this up again. I imagine he'd position himself at the head of the group and assign with quick, choppy hand motions, just cutting the groups into thirds, and then say, "All right, you heard the him. We need to get moving." Muted.
You're muted.
I had a cough. Um, yeah, Bone Standing Path is like, all right, you and me, let's go take the north then. Um, and goes and he walks out towards presumably what the north is. I'm referring to the north as the back of the throne room. It might not be compass north. Um, There is also the West Palace and the East Palace. So North Palace has Bone and Liam. Uh, who is going where? We have Crow and Alistair. Alistair, where does the Crow take you?
I think
Uh,
east is probably good.
sure. Uh,
West we go.
Alistair and the rookies. Adhikar, Scarlet, and Quick Eye. Cool. Um, starting with Bone and Liam, I think you guys are going to encounter uh there's some of that fallen debris, and then just like the path is blocked. You get to a certain point uh where Bone just like looks at this giant pile of fallen rock and rubble and goes, "Ah, the hell's we gonna get through this?"
Does it look like a wall has caved in or a ceiling? What's
Ceiling is what I'm imagining is the ceiling is just coming in. Now, theoretically, I guess you could climb over it. Climb over it, you could dig through it. Uh, if
if
you
we
have
can climb
explosives, you
over
can
it and
blow
make
it
just
up.
enough room to crawl through the gap?
Yeah, okay. Um, we'll call this a risk roll, or an action roll, I think is what they call it in the game. I think the thing you're risking here is time, and so we'll put it at risky. Standard. Do you have anything that would put you outside of standard? Are you a traveler? You're not trying. You're not a pioneer. Um.
I'm not. And I'm suffering from smoke inhalation, which gives me less effect.
Oh shit. Yeah.
But it gives me +1 potency.
Which just sort of offsets it then. Yeah, because potency is increased effect, so it would be limited effect from your less effect. Sorry, I should ask this. It's sounding like we're going for either a maneuver roll or a scout roll.
I would say maneuver.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are the ones who kind of have final say on that. Yeah, maneuver will get you through the rocks. It is, what is, it is what you use to navigate difficult terrain. Um, so yeah, it would be limited effect, but your potency brings it back up to standard. So that would give you 2 ticks on the clock. Um, on a miss, the or on a as a complication, the clock fills up. Either that or like I could say, the clock's gonna increase by 1 tick. It's gonna take you a little bit more time than you wanted to, and you might take a just another level 1 harm. That's just you twist an ankle or something, you bend something or something gets crushed on the way. Does that all sound fair?
Sounds fair. Yep.
All right. Give me you can push for effect. Uh you could hmm devil's bargain, I guess. If there's anything particularly interesting that you might see or interesting. Hmm.
I think I'll go with a push.
To stress for an additional die, or do you want an additional effect out of this?
I think just an extra die. This feels like it should ostensibly be simple.
Okay, sure. Um, cool. And then in that case, we don't have to worry about devil's bargain because you already have your extra die. Uh, roll them bones.
All right. That's a 6.
Of course it is. We love to see them.
There's also a one, so
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. That's it. No, it's fantastic. It means I don't have to worry about coming up with, or I don't have to worry about applying complications. Yeah, you look awesome. Uh, uh, yeah. I don't know if we particularly need to if there's anything you want to narrate, feel free, go ahead while I add 2 ticks to this clock.
I think Liam just kind of scrambles to the top of that rock pile, starts digging out from the top, and then wriggling through as best he can, comes out the other side, makes sure his hair's okay, and then looks back for his companion.
Um, yeah, the Bone standing back goes, "Oh, look at you, little scrambler."
That's not going to stick.
Best names never would it no best names never do stick, do they? But yeah, he kind of climbs up after you, um, pops on through. Yeah, he's a heavy, but I don't think he's in his full heavy kit. So and he's a Panyar, so he's surprisingly adroit for a what normally would be classified as a heavy. Um, and he sort of like hops and scrambles up after you. So that's 2 ticks on the clock. Let's look over at the Crow and Alistair. I don't know if we've seen you guys together. Um, so yeah, over in the Eastern Palace, or over towards the Eastern Palace, um, I think the first thing that you notice is that the stones have this sort of green film to them. There's a what would have once been on the pathway there. There's a sort of like Tetris block shaped walkway, and there are these pools of water to each side of it, and the algae in them. The water is brackish. I mean, it's centuries old. God knows it's been standing for so long, but there is this sort of like strange green film to it. And as you walk further towards the palace, you notice that the air has these sort of like little green floating motes
Mm.
of that same color of it's corruption. That's what it is.
Yep.
It's I need a name really quickly. I need a name for this concubine. They probably were, if they're an alchemist, they're probably Orite. Uh, Panda Blades. Here's a name generator for me. Uh, Consort Lila. Um, the crow says, Consort Lila was an alchemist.
Mm.
She was known for mixing potions and medicines. In fact, they say that that was how she saved. That's how she met Emperor Justarian, was she saved his life from a poison. And when he moved her into the Imperial Palace, she continued her work. But now, of course, alchemy is broken, and it seems that even that corruption has gone beyond the limits of life. So what's your thought here? There's the danger here is
Mm.
that lingering too long in this area is going to expose you to corruption. But you want to look around and see if this shield and this map is here.
I do, yeah. So two ways to go about it, I think. Either finding a way to avoid the corruption, whether it's by finding another way or doing some covering or protection somehow. The other way might be leaning into the alchemy side of it and seeing if I could um, research might help figuring out a way to avoid or counteract that.
I'll let you pick. What does the camera focus on?
I think the research angle is more interesting to me.
Okay.
Um, I'm something of an alchemist myself.
Ooh.
And see if there's any indication, I think, or anything that I remember from my studies that might help uh, with a useful identification that would allow some sort of avoidance or counteraction.
Oh, that's right. We
Yeah,
had you roll that interesting sway roll, and we learned that
yeah,
you used to yell at your teachers.
I did.
Um, Now it's all coming back to me. Yeah, I'm down with this. Um, again, I think the risk is time.
Mhm.
You risk taking too long looking through uh uh these um the corrupting the alchemical processes, and it takes time. Or actually, what might be more interesting, though this might be a good devil's bargain too, is whatever experiments she was doing, uh consort Lila, um are now significantly more dangerous. And as you press farther into the palace, I'm going to put you into a more desperate state. Um,
Yeah, I like that as a devil's bargain. Want to do that?
sure, okay. Um, so yeah, I think this is risky. I think you're at standard effect, unless do you have any reason that you might be like off of standard effect?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. We'll call it risky standard research. Um, I will offer you a devil's bargain then of there is an alchemical monstrosity or other alchemical danger
Hmm.
that uh mechanically means you'll probably either be in a desperate effect or I'll throw some monster at you. Who knows?
That sounds great to me. I love that.
Cool. So you got plus one die. Um
So is the position risky or desperate right here?
it's risky for now.
Yeah,
If we do any follow-ups, we'll see. Uh yeah. Yeah, leave it a risky for now.
cool. I think I'm.
Unless you want to bump it up to desperate, and then
Mm,
you could do desperate great, and you get 3 ticks on the clock.
ooh, you know what?
There's currently 4 ticks left, so if you split it between you and the rookies,
That is
but
tempting.
Adhikar is looking pretty rough.
You know what? Let's do that. Let's go ahead and
Push it to desperate. Okay.
make it desperate. Why not?
Um, since you're researching, I think this means like correct me if I'm wrong or if you have any better ideas, but it sounds to me like you're getting close to like you're sniffing the flowers, you're
Yeah,
tasting the water,
I'm
you're
tasting the
doing
bad stuff.
oh also gosh for a complication, I don't even know if necessarily time is a thing. Instead, I'm going to say it's corruption.
Hmm.
And at desperate, that's 3 ticks of corruption.
All right.
On anything under a 6.
I love it.
Uh,
Great.
so if you're fine with that,
Yeah, that sounds great.
plus one dice, desperate, great. Roll them bones.
Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. There's a 6.
6.
Beautiful.
2 support. Yeah.
Cool. Um, I think because I want to acknowledge the danger here, like I I'm basing I just met Lila, consort Lila 5 minutes ago, but already I'm imagining her as like the sort of herbalist.
Hmm.
Um, but like what is something dangerous that you see alchemically, and feel free to either riff off that or go in your own direction, but what dangerous alchemical process do you identify that
Ooh.
would have done serious corruption to you had you not recognized it for what it was and avoid it? And how do you avoid it?
Yeah, I think it is. So if I'm doing the bad sci-fi scientist of touching things and putting my face above the egg sacs and licking things. I think I think something that I recall is probably something that I got in trouble for in my studies was that certain kinds of alchemical processes are maybe more susceptible to corrupting influences. And since we are in the world that we are in now, um, I recognize that, like, oh, like that looks normal, but I know that that is something that probably will at this point actually be dangerous, and kind of avoid uh, fiddling with whatever glowy green bit that is.
Fantastic. And I think you already did, but just in case, don't forget to give yourself
Yeah.
an insight XP or desperate.
It's very,
Fantastic.
very Star Trekky.
Oh my God, that always drives me wild. Science officer, let's go get our face first in this giant alien plant that's definitely not going to cough spores at
Yeah.
in our direction. Um, but if they didn't do it, we wouldn't have a TV show, so I guess whatever. Fantastic. Uh, Cutting over now to the rookies. Um, Gosh, what other like challenges can I throw in your way? We've had corruption, we've had cave-ins.
None.
Um,
It's just a normal path,
maybe it
right?
is. Maybe it is for now. Yeah, I think you guys actually you get the easy bit. The path is clear. I think you have a similar like, zigzaggy sort of stone walkway. There's these very pretty, what were once flower arrangements, now of course dead and wilted because there's no sun here. Um, the water is brackish and you absolutely shouldn't drink it, but it's not corrupting like it is over on the east side. Um, but I think you guys walk in and you see just, it's a two-story stately palace. There's a grand staircase kind of going up and looking around. It's just there's really just kind of like nothing particularly here, but I leave it to you to see like how do you guys want to go about exploring this space. Again, you can do research if you think that there is some sort of clues in the architecture or clues about the consort themselves, or you can just scout. I know we shouldn't call things by their action rate by their action name, but that's what it is. Um, yeah, what do you guys think?
No, but what I feel like Scarlet is a reasonable scouter, right?
I have one in research and one in scout, so it's the
Okay.
same.
Yeah, I want to research. I think, I mean, Adakar's instinct is probably just to like walk in, like start just poking around the palace. Um, yeah.
Well, I mean, if one of you guys want to get dice on the table, we can go. I can go either way, but I will say Adhikar is really close to dying.
Yeah, I
Um,
can I can do something maybe. Can we say as just like fictional positioning, I guess. Um so I am marked. So I am like I have this resistance against corruption. And I'm wondering if that maybe translates to like some sort of like not quite spidey sense necessarily, but there is like something that when something is corrupted, you can like feel it more acutely so you can protect yourself against it. And
mhm.
maybe like I'm kind of like letting myself because we have really nothing to go off on just kind of see like what is setting off this like I don't like it feeling with the idea that maybe this thing if it was like something special it's gotten corrupted it's like gotten um Yeah, like basically like can we sense it out with a scout or a research or however.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
not, if you feel like that's stretching it too much, I feel like we've established those like poems and stuff on the wall. So maybe there's like more of that here, or we can sort of look at the architecture and see like where it looks, even if it's like crumbling, where it looks like it was supposed to be grander, which would probably indicate a coffin or a mausoleum made for a very important person.
Yeah, I'm gonna since it was your first idea, or do you have a preference to either of those? I'll say yeah, you can follow the spidey sense, the hairs sticking up and see where that leads you if you want to go that route, if you want to go into the scary house. Um
Yeah, I think that could be interesting. I think maybe just because like who Scarlet is, she has like some sort of like device that can help her with like I don't know if we like need to do a flashback because I don't know if it's gonna help necessarily, but as like fiction positioning. I think it looks maybe like some sort of compass, but the needle is like I don't know, like it's made out of a light, maybe. You know, like those, I don't know what they're called in English, but you have like this instrument that you put on something to see if it's straight, and there's like a little bubble of water in it.
Yeah, a
oh,
level,
a
yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like
Frontier
basically like
level. Yeah.
something like that, but the bubble of water or mystical liquid, whatever it is kind of like attracted to the corruption.
Interesting. Um hmm. Yeah, I'm down with it. Now what you are describing is a very complex piece of equipment, and usually equipment is carried on your load.
Hmm.
Um, I am more keen to say that you are going in without an instrument and just like you know what a horror movie looks like and you're playing into the horror movie tropes. You're going like the darkness is darker in specific,
Hmm.
doorways and things like
Yeah,
that. And you're like, if I was an evil ghost, this is where I'd be. Um
exactly.
I'm more keen to that than to handcrafting because I feel like you're gearing towards rig. But here's the thing, if you want to try and rig up something really quickly and see like if there's stuff in the area that you could cobble together. I mean, I feel like we kind of did that with the
Yeah,
alchemist's
I mean
room.
I'm obviously that's a good role for me, but I also
Sure,
don't
sure,
want to
sure.
like keep stretching it and be like
Sure,
I
sure,
rig
sure.
something up for every single situation that comes my way.
But at the same time though, like that's how you view the world. So here's what I'll
That is
say.
true.
I'll give you 4 dice, but I'm going to start you out at 0 effect because there just isn't like there isn't stuff in the area for you to do that with.
Hmm.
um or there isn't, the alchemist stuff is over on the east wing. But if you're trying to create a object with resonant materials that resonates to dark energy to help you find this stuff, to help you find the darker areas, um then yeah, then I think I'm gonna start you at 0 effect, risky. Would it be zero or would it be limited? Um, ha ha ha.
This
It's
is
a
a
it's a
genuine
console.
question. What's the point of rolling something if the effect is zero? Like
Because you
not as
can
in like how dare, but as like what is the gameplay incentive to do that?
because there are things that you can do to manipulate that. If you start at
Hmm.
0 effect, you can trade position for effect. Say I'm going to go to desperate, and it now
Okay.
becomes limited effect.
Okay, okay, fair
Um,
enough.
or if you have potency in a situation, um, then you would start at 0, but then move to limited effect. So it's interacting with the gamification in that way.
Okay. Okay,
Um,
that makes
but
sense.
I think just to set myself back on a more reasonable standard, I'm gonna put it at limited effect to start with, so risky limited. Because you just don't have a tool shed to work with. You're trying to cobble stuff together out of stuff that you find in the environment, in an environment you're unfamiliar with.
Hmm.
Um
In my load, I do have supplies and tents and camping gear. Could we say that with the camping gear and the supplies that I have, at least I have like some kind of base? Because I assume that those might have like something like a compass, something like maybe like some kind of L like something that could like make a fire or like chemical liquids that we could use.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to mark your camping gear, I'll treat that as though it were like a devil's bargain, and
Hmm.
let you add an additional die to your roll. I will say you only need one tick on the clock. There's one tick
Okay.
left, so limited effect will get you there.
Okay.
Um,
Fair enough.
so yeah, we'll call it risky limited.
Hmm.
Um, plus one die if you mark your camping gear. And we'll
Sure.
treat that as our devil's bargain. Um, so you can't push for a die. There's no point in pushing for an effect. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to do. Any other inputs there? I mean, Adhikar could help, but it would kill him.
Don't.
It would literally kill him.
I'm too busy being almost traumatized.
What is
Yeah,
your
I mean, if
let's
with the extra die, I have 5 die. I should
yeah.
probably be okay.
He should be, but I
Now that I
listen,
said that, I
this
won't
dice
be.
roller is buttering you all up for like a just threes across the board. Um so we should talk about your risks just in case. Again, I think the risk here, because you are like, trying to cobble stuff together. I think time is the main one that would fill up the they find it clock. Um, but I think I think instead I'm gonna do a one tick on the they find it clock. Or what are you afraid of happening, actually? Let me ask you. I'm kind of curious.
Hmm.
Two things that come to mind are it takes time, and two is you're playing with fire, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah,
Um,
that was my idea. I'm always a sucker for like it works too well or it works in the way that you don't want it to.
yeah.
Like I'm trying to search for the darkness and it's like psych, I've always been here. It finds me.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, that is true. You are calling like ghosts and spirits to you, which I
Hmm.
feel like opens the door to like uh yeah, instead of time, um yeah, let's call it if it's risky, let's call it level 2 harm and 2 points of corruption to go alongside of it.
All right.
Um which means you're moving fast.
Moving
Uh
fast. All right.
yeah, go for
Let's
it.
see how this goes.
All right.
Partial.
You do it, but there are consequences. Look at all those ones. What the fuck is this dice roller even doing? What is this? This is nonsense. In any case, yeah, so you'll do it. You have 2 harm and 2 corruption coming your way. Uh, the way that it's been described, it kind of sounds like a seance in a weird way.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I can
do
see
you agree
that.
with that?
Yeah,
Uh,
I given that I marked the supplies, I like to think and the seance idea, like maybe it's like a sort of candle and it's like where the flame like kind of flickers that we're following, which also feels like very gothic horror. I know that I'm in a horror movie and I'm embracing it.
yeah, then I think what we see is like, this sort of like whipping around this sort of conflagration of spirits. Um, and I think one of them is just gonna like dive into your body and you just feel this like icy chill. And so as it stands, your 2 harm and 2 corruption is going to be just like the deathly chill. You can resist if you want. Uh
Is is it an insight res can I argue for an insight resist for the corruption, given that it's based on this thing that I'm rigging up?
yeah. Yeah, I'll buy that.
Oh, let's try. This is risky though. But I do get to the extra.
This is for the corruption specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I
Um,
don't think I have reliquaries with me. Well, I might die, guys.
might die.
It might be over. Let's see how this goes.
Good news is the clock fills. Take
Okay.
one stress.
We're okay. And I have armor and shield left to mark.
You might as well go ahead and mark them
Yep.
because for filling that clock before time fills up, you will be able to find and extract the shield before the undead come across your position. Um, However, reminder, resisting only reduces it by one, so you'll still take
Right.
one corruption. But if you mark your shield and armor, you will take no harm.
Okay.
I don't know how exactly that works. I probably should have thought that out a little bit better. Usually ghostly stuff ignores armor, but whatever. It's magical. Um,
I mean, if you want to give me level one harm,
yeah,
please do.
instead of
That's
marking your
fair.
shield and armor, yeah, take level one harm. Just it's still like deathly chill. But it is not as severe as a level two harm. Um, cool. Uh, of the three of them, um, I think the one I'm most interested in, just because they're the only one that's named so far, is Consort Lila. And so I think uh just to speed the end of this and get us into campaign phase, what we see is Alistair and uh the Crow come across this sarcophagus, for lack of a better term. Yeah, actually, you know what? No, let's follow up on this. You made a devil's bargain that said it was going to be dangerous. Alistair and the Crow, everybody else you find your own respective sarcophagi of the
Mhm.
respective consorts. None of them have this shield with a map on it, like Liam and Bone. Um, you guys find the sarcophagus and Bone like throws the lid open and you just see a dead body in it, a mummy. You're like, no shield here. The rookies, Scarlet, you get possessed by this ghost who like sort of pulls you down into this sort of spooky basement area because we're apparently in a horror movie. Um, and you likewise find a sarcophagus of a consort sarcophagus. Um, Open it. It is it is occupied, but there's no shield on it whatsoever. Um,
Mhm.
Alistair, you and the Crow, you walk through these like, there's a room full of medicine cabinets. There is uh just all these strange smells of alchemical processes, almost like somebody actually took the time to stock these shelves
Mhm.
before or after Layla had passed. Um and the sarcophagus opens and there is a shield. Actually, like it's not a shield in the way that a shield would be useful. It is
Mhm.
a shield more like an icon.
Right.
Like almost
Right.
like a badge of state or office.
Mhm.
Um and you find it there and the crow reaches up and plucks it and there on the back is uh uh what looks to you just like random scrawlings. um and the crow looks at you and says, "This is what we need." And then the noises start happening,
Yeah.
and we're gonna go full Indiana Jones here, and like vines start, these sort of like purple leaved vines begin to sort of like burst through the area and sort of begin rapidly growing at a speed at which vines should not be able to grow, and you and the
Mhm.
crow now have to escape from this area that is going to surely, you already see it like sort of trying to lace together across the door to try and prevent your escape.
Mhm.
What do you do?
Um, I imagine that there was something in the sarcophagus that reacted with the air when we opened it to trigger this. Um, but I don't think thinking about it is going to do a lot of good. So it is going to be running this
Try
time.
and outpace the vines. All
Yeah,
right, fantastic. Um,
very interesting, but we got to go.
I do think we start you out at desperate.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I'm just gonna put it at desperate great only because I don't see anything extra to gain for you on the case of like if you try and increased your position or if you try and did anything to bring you up to
Yeah.
great. And that'll get you out. That'll get you out of
Hmm.
this thing, this situation, this mess. So we'll call it desperate great. It sounds like maneuver. Correct
Hmm.
me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
I think that's right.
Desperate great maneuver. Uh, um,
Do you have a devil's bargain?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is that the crow gets left behind, but that doesn't
Ooh.
feel narratively. That feels like narratively like
Oh,
satisfying, but
we could go trophy with it and say that either way, some of the vines tag me, and maybe there is something growing in me. Maybe is that corruption? I don't know. Um, yeah, like some of
ew.
the vine material gets stuck in me as it
I
lashes.
mean, I was gonna say corruption is what you stand to risk, just kind of anyways,
Mm,
is 3 levels of corruption.
hmm.
Just from being in this area. I think we see these flower petals open and cough the coughing of spores into the air.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think 3 levels of corruption is on the table already.
Okay.
Um, for a devil's bargain. Um,
Why don't we do 3 levels of corruption for like 3 levels of bargain for the danger, and then like or 3 levels of corruption for the devil's bargain, and the danger is like it just goes straight to a blight.
I mean, that is technically way more than a desperate roll
That
should
feels pretty desperate.
do. Um, because a blight would be like 6 levels of corruption is like the Cinder King places his hand on you. Is the level of blight that we're talking about there.
Or if we want to stop one short, I'm okay with that too.
Um, I will say at risk is 3 levels of corruption. And for Devil's Bargain, if you want to take 2 automatically on top of that,
Yeah,
sure, we'll call that there.
cool. Let's do that then.
Cool. Take 2 levels of corruption, for an additional die. Uh,
Maneuver, desperate, great, and what extra die? All right, let's see what we get. There's a 6.
6. Fantastic. You guys look awesome doing this. Yeah, so you get out coughing. Um, I yeah, how do you like where did that dangerous corruption come from and how do you avoid it?
Yeah, I think they're like we didn't get away clean. Like there was like vines grabbing, and we had to either yank or cut our way out. And then like when we get to the safe exit part, panting and whatnot, there's still like stuff wriggling in my arm that I have to pull out, and there's clearly some something left behind.
Fantastic. Um, we see the lot of you get back together in the throne room. The crow has the shield. Um, I think we can fast track to you guys avoid the undead patrols on the way out only because uh I just don't think it's particularly we've done enough in these catacombs. And you took all the effort to and you got all the rolls to get out before they discover you. So um and back at the entrance, um Bone and the Crow, they look at this little emblem of state, and they look back at you guys and they say, "All right, well, this is where we part ways, Legion. Hopefully, we'll see you all on the far side of Skydagger."
We can only hope.
Are you sure we couldn't compel you to join our cause?
You can compel me all you like. You can't really undo the oaths we swore. So, as much as we would love to rejoin the Legion, uh, we have certain uh tacts that we have to accomplish. You know how it is. But I will tell you this: don't go swearing any oaths unless, well, just don't. And if you see the horned one, tell her I said she's a cunt.
I'm not going to do that, but I will keep in mind your sentiment. Best of luck.
No, it's all right. Work's important. Wouldn't have joined up with a mercenary unit if I didn't think there one could be danger. But, well, you've got your tasks. We've got ours. Sooner or later, if all of us do all the stuff we need to get done, maybe we'll all come out of this. Well, not every one of us alive, but where you all work down there. First time I think I've ever had hope since Ettenmark Mark Fields. If you guys are the future of the Legion, maybe we'll get through this.
See Liam's chest kind of inflate a little bit. He stands up a little straighter. Appreciate it.
He hands over a rolled scroll. Actually, no, he doesn't. The crow does. The crow hands over a rolled and sealed scroll to the Marcher Lord.
He'll take it with a nod of thanks.
She says, "Pass this off to the commander."
Of course.
And with that, the two of them head off their separate ways. They're going to go rejoin the rest of the Banner Guard. And you guys make your way back to camp. That is our mission phase. Congratulations. It's been a couple weeks. But let's talk experience. Fortunately for me, I'm not the one who makes these judgment calls. You all are, or the marshal if everything fails. But let's just kind of go through them one by one, starting top to bottom from the Ember Wolves. Uh, Marcher Lord, walk us through your XP.
I did roll a desperate action last round, and I did mark that already. So one for surviving the mission. Helping the squad out, I'm going to assume that the saving, was it Nickton that he saved last session?
I believe you did save, yeah, Quick Eye, Nicotine.
Nicotine.
Nicotine? I
That
don't
guy.
know. Yeah.
So it's two, and I mean, I brought in my Orite trait, which, does that count as heritage in play?
Yes, if you benefit mechanically from your heritage accounts.
Cool. And I'm not sure what the highest threat was.
I did show a Black Oak Knight on screen. They didn't appear in the mission proper. Call it 2.
So that's 5 for Liam.
Fantastic. Nikitin, Quick Eye, was NPC, does not get XP. Actually, hang on a second. If I remember correctly, we'll deal with that in a bit. For now, let's just do normal XP. Adhikar, you're up next.
All right, so let's see. I believe at some point I used one of my traits, so that's something. I think research, I'd made a research roll earlier. Um, what else? Survive despite the odds for sure. Survive the mission. Um, and then threat.
2.
So 5 total. So I think we're becoming a soldier today.
Awesome.
Cool.
Alrighty. Scarlet, walk us through what you got.
Yeah, I survived the mission. I helped my squad by staying out of the way or surviving despite the odds. I brought into play both my artisan with all the rigging and the marked with the corruption at the end, and that's 2 for the highest threat.
Fantastic. And Earl Alistair.
Yeah, had a couple desperates in there. Survived the mission. Did survive despite the odds. I definitely brought in the discipline last time. I have the smoke inhalation, and we didn't explicitly do the potency versus less effect on that, so I don't think that counts. And then 2 for the threat. It's 5.
Alrighty. Also, it is a mission reward. Everyone who survived the mission gets +3 EXP, and I'm also counting Quick Eye in that. Marshall, you are on duties for giving Nikitin Quick Eye 3 XP wherever you want.
I think Earl is also being promoted then.
Sorry, I was reading the special abilities. Did you say we get more XP?
Yes, it is a mission reward that +3 +3 XP to each legionnaire that survives this mission.
Thank you.
There's a limit on how high your stats can go normally, right?
You can't go to 4 unless you take elite.
Yeah, you cannot start higher than 2 unless you take one of the heritage abilities that lets you go higher. You cannot go higher than 3 with advancements unless you take expert, I think.
Could go 2, 3, no problem. But yeah, I see elite gets you to 4. Cool.
Yes, you can go to 3 after character creation. You can go to 3 with XP normally.
Yeah.
Cool. It sounds like people are promoting, which means choosing skills. Does everybody get a promotion other than Quick Eye?
So.
I think that's why we picked a squad, yeah. Because they were
Well, I mean,
all like super close to promoting. Scarlet is also promoted.
Nice. Yep. I think I finished Adhikar's promotion.
Cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and take let's go ahead and call it 10 minutes. Go ahead and choose new abilities, and that'll give us a mental transition into campaign phase and secondary mission stuff. So, all right, 10 minutes. See ya da. All right. We are back. We have a secondary mission to resolve. Let's go take a look at that. Commander chose Operation Full Swing for our secondary mission. So while she was being guided through her dreams, Silver Surging Tide came across a place that one might describe as a quote, red lantern swinging from spider webs, a monster at its heart. And in the stalls and tents beneath, everything you can imagine is bought and sold. Onyatin verifies that, at least according to rumor, more like a urban myth or a legend, such a market does indeed exist. The Immeasurable Market is a strange place, a full mile in diameter. It supposedly only appears one night of the year, not far from Fort Callisto, towards the border of the forest. That night that it's supposed to appear is currently approaching. So the Legion is going to send out a squad to bargain and see what they can get. Um, and secure as much supply as they can. Supposedly, the rarer goods are found towards the middle of the market, but Onyatin warns that anybody who goes there has to leave before dawn. Those who stay longer are said to not leave at all. So we're in full movie mode. This is much more an October sort of arrangement of missions, but we do what we can. Um, Marshall, what I need from you, actually, did we get this previously? No, I don't have anybody assigned to the secondary. So I need a squad and at least one specialist to go on this mission. That cannot be the Ember Wolves, obviously, and all specialists are available.
Um,
It's a supply mission. So in order to meet mission requirements and not take a penalty, heavy officer or scout are your three that are recommended.
yeah, I mean, I assume that Silver is going, given that it's based on their dreams. Yeah, let's Silver.
You can also send Adramir because of his ability if we wanted to do that.
+1 dice on secondary missions or engagement roles, which includes this.
Sure, yeah, let's send Silver and Adramir.
Silver and Ajmir, and I need a squad.
Mm, Let's send let's send the Ghost Owls.
Fantastic. Dun, 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 dun. So we have Silver, Adramir, and the Ghost Owls heading to the Immeasurable Market. They have to get out of the fort, which currently everyone is kind of locked in. So that would be the first obstacle. They have to make it to the Immeasurable Market, which often means going through enemy lines because there is a siege on. And then they have to go and barter with possibly Fae and Eldritch beings. Who knows? But they're gonna go and hopefully come back with a really good story and a lot of shit. Um, Presumably the Legion would send them with things to bargain that exist in sort of nebulous sphere, but the Legion is a storied military outfit. There's a lot of things in storage that might fetch a good price to these strange things that barter at the immeasurable market. But let's talk about the engagement role. All right. Marshall, um, is everyone on the mission oath sworn to the Legion?
Yes.
Fantastic. Take +1 die. Commander, will you be spending 1 intel to give them foresight and info?
I will not.
Okay, no die there. Is everyone on the mission a specialist or a soldier? This is the owls.
I mean, I guess I could send the Star Vipers, I guess. Let's send our soldier squad.
Okay. Let me change
Then
that up.
yes.
And you go back to hide on the GM layer, and you come over here. And all right, so everyone on the mission is a specialist or a soldier. Let me go back to find my engagement roles. Take +1 die for that. Does any soldier distrust the leadership or not fear them enough to obey orders on the battlefield?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, good.
And you have your required specialists on the mission, so you don't take a penalty from that. For a supply mission, Quartermaster, will you spend food to equip the mission?
I cannot. So no.
Okay. So no extra die there. And Commander, is the current pressure higher than 2? I don't believe it is.
Is 0.
Okay. Then no penalty there. Adramir is on the mission. He gives one +1 die to engagement rolls, so factor that in as well. I think that puts you at 3.
Yes, it does.
All right. Give me a 3 die secondary mission engagement roll, please. It's that time, y'all.
It is happening.
But not soldiers.
You fail the mission. Lose 3 squad lose 3 squad members, and all specialists take level 3 harm. I did say it's a horror mission.
Yeah. Who do we want dead?
Those are the Star Vipers?
Yeah, so we have Nazim, I guess an easy one because nobody's played him. We have Kole, Azure, Kirij, and Zaya.
Do these count as somebody I could use not today on? Can we save one of them?
Negative. No.
I mean, I would say we can save Kirij and Zaya because we've played them the most, but I don't know, maybe it's dramatic if one of them dies.
Yeah. I mean, Azure is one of the like chosen of the horned one, right?
Mhm.
Um, and Adramir has a relationship with Cole, right?
Yep.
So they're all let's see, 3 of them die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome to the wonderful world of a miss on a secondary mission. They suck.
If so Adramir is blood sworn to protect Kole. If
Yeah.
he fails in that, I don't know what that means
Mm.
for him.
Then maybe we keep Cole and either Kirish or Zaya.
Yeah, I guess the question is, do you want to find out what that means for him? Do we kill Cole or do we not?
Yeah. Would Adramir break
Well,
that oath?
Nazim is an easy one. He did. Sorry,
All
update
right.
that. I'm so sorry, Nazim.
Bye, Nazim. Down in the graveyard you
I
go.
loved your background story, but alas. Who else?
Wasn't Zaya your first soldier?
Mm.
I think technically it might have been Cole because I remember that one of them got promoted because of a secondary. Was that Zaya?
I seem to remember talking about Zaya
Maybe.
in characters known and loved.
That would make sense.
Maybe I'm wrong though. Nope.
I think it would be interesting and dramatic to see how either Kirish or Zaya deals with the other one being dead,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but I'm not sure who we want to traumatize.
I think we want to traumatize Kirish.
Kill Zaya?
All right.
Right.
Goodbye, Zaya.
Bye, Zaya.
He couldn't protect her.
Maybe she died protecting him.
Maybe, but he's
Probably.
not just a kid anymore.
I
Should have
mean,
taken
That's why she didn't get
responsibility.
any XP. She just
yeah, yeah.
died.
She just died.
Like, no, I don't have that ability anymore. Don't do
Don't do
it.
it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Then between Cole and Azure, who
Azure. Was Azure one of the ones that was, oh, Azure is trusted. Was Azure one of the ones that was found? One of the other Ettenmark survivors that
Yeah.
like joined you guys
He's
later?
obsessed with Nazim, so he's gonna be fucked up if he lives, and Nazim does.
to be fair, he was already kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I think I wrote something like, and I mean, obviously it's up to people how much they play that, but I think I wrote something like the only thing that calms him down is violence or Nazim. So that leaves violence.
Pretty good.
Do I roll?
And maybe we just flip a coin on this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 hour. 1 to 2 is Cole, 3, 4 is Azure. Uh, oh no,
Uh,
because we want to keep Kirish alive. So 1 to 3 is Cole. 4 to 6 is Azure.
All right.
1d6. Goodbye, Azure.
bye,
Yeah.
Azure.
I mean, if everybody's okay with
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it.
I feel like if they weren't, they would have spoke
Adramir,
up, you know?
Adramir kept his oath. The great
Adramir was,
Tom.
oh yeah, no, Adramir was there. Yeah, that's right.
Admiral was on the
Yeah.
mission.
Um,
Okay, we got a bunch of new soldiers.
It's
yeah.
also three morale loss, I guess.
Yes, yes. Morale goes down by 3. That won't stick for very long, because I know what your mission rewards are. Um, and yeah, the two specialists, each take level 3 harm. Um, I'm really interested. Like the deaths, I can understand. The deaths are anything from, I based this off of the Trophy Dark incursion, Clever Fingers. If any of you are familiar with that one. Um which I find it interesting that that's the one you rolled low on. But harm could come from any number of things. I'm curious. Level 3 harm uh is, let's see. Injuries that make it impossible to perform basic actions. Examples are impaled, broken leg, catatonic, crushed rib, shot in chest. I'm kind of curious with the framing of the mission, like how Adramir and Silver. Also, neither of you have the ability that. Does Silver have an ability that reduces harm by 1?
Don't think I took that for her.
I know there's a scout ability, and I can't remember which one it is.
I
Oh, it's
do
ready for
have
anything.
field dressing, so
No.
I can spend doctor points to add check marks to people's injuries at least.
At the end of it does say at the end of a mission. Normally it's like the ability that I was thinking of specifically specifies on secondary missions, but that does say at the end of a mission.
Vision.
Yeah, secondary mission is technically a mission. Um,
A tick to everyone's healing path on the injuries.
Field dressing. Um, yeah, if you have 3 points of doctor, so yeah, if you want to may expend remaining doctor uses to add 1 check to a legionnaire's level of level 2 or 3 harm, 1 per person. So yeah, each of you can get level 1 or 1 check mark on your level 3 harm. Um, which will help the healing. But I'm still curious what caused the harm to begin with.
I'm almost wondering, given that it's Silver's dreams, but she wears that crown and she's, partially corrupted. What if it was just a trap? What if there isn't a market?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and we just got or maybe there is a market, but like because it's Silver, like there is like this corruption and this weirdness going on, like we weren't allowed there. Or like it turned into a literal actual nightmare. I'm thinking for Silver at least, I'm imagining like I wonder if it's too gruesome, please feel free to veto. But she's got like this moonlight crown on her, the lunar crown on her head, like, right? Like, what if she's just like blinded, or like her eyes got like
Mm.
in this dream, the red lanterns and everything, like, maybe not, forever, but temporarily, like it's seared into her face,
Yeah.
basically. Got like that very Elden Ring thing where you get the crown that goes like over your eyes.
Yeah, I'm super down with that. And yeah, it will go away when you complete your healing track. Um, yeah, take bleeding blindness as level 3 harm. Sort of like weeping, sort of like
Hmm.
molten silver tears or something like
Yeah,
that.
like it's just
Something
like dripping and oozing over her eyes.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. It's gonna help with
uh
the socializing.
Yeah.
and Adramir, what are you thinking?
It would definitely be something he got defending Cole. Maybe to the like dramatically, he could have saved Zaya, maybe, but didn't and took a hit for Cole instead. Maybe something like impaled.
I dig it. Yeah, take impaled as level 3 harm. And the Star Vipers come limping back to camp. Um However, good news is specialists that survive the mission, which both of you did, each of you get to mark 2 XP. So feel free to go ahead and do that. I'm just
Would
taking.
this mission have counted as the next mission that Adramir? No, it wouldn't. Never mind.
I'm just adding promotion stars to the names of everyone that's promoted. Everyone in the Ember Wolves promoted except for Quick Eye, correct?
And so yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Make that real easy for myself then. Do, 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 do. And Earl Alistair, everybody gets a star. That way we know who our soldiers are just by looking. Um, okay. Bookkeeping. Yes, -1 morale for each legionnaire that died on the mission. 3 legionnaires died. You will go down by 3 morale. However, we look to so penalties are always apply mission penalties first. Fantastic. Good to know. Um, do we have any penalties is the question. Yes, we do. For failing Operation Full Swing, -1 morale. Go ahead and take 1 more morale away. There was no penalty for ignoring Operation Shattered Light because the dice do still, in fact, love you, whether or not you believe it at the moment. And you succeeded at Bronze Pool. So for that, we already did the +3 XP to each Legionnaire who survived. Fantastic. You get +3 morale for succeeding at Bronze Pool. So that brings you back to 9, if I remember correctly. Okay.
Yes, it does. So that is two actions for the
Mhm.
quartermaster.
Yes, but first we have a back at camp scene, and let me pull up the da-da, lore keeper sheet where our back at camp scenes live. Mhm. I think we find ourselves in the marshal's tent. Um, so we have a well, actually, no. Let's talk about this a little bit. Says here, a soldier is caught selling supplies to locals for special treats or favors. If we did find ourselves in the marshal's tent, it says a soldier is caught. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're brought to the marshal immediately. But first of all, who is the guilty party? Who's been selling who's been selling stuff to locals for treats or favors? They could have gone on the mission because we could do back at camp as like, maybe bronze pool finished if we think it's like Liam. Um, but we were still waiting to hear back from Full Swing. Oop,
Maybe
hello.
it's somebody new.
Could be somebody new.
We have some newbies. I think from the ones we know, I mean, we know that Farian Garossi was selling like the moonshine and stuff, so I feel like that might be something that he does. He seems to kind of be like that kind of person that's trying to make profit that way.
That's true.
Um,
Sorry, yeah, I said Liam. Farian was the one I was thinking of. I'm
yeah.
like, we have our connected Orite who does that kind of shit. Was it them? Did they get caught? Or was it somebody else? Also, where is Farian? Do we have
He's at the Ghost Owls now, I think.
Maybe he
Yeah, he is.
recruited another Oraid to his calls and they were a little sloppy.
Got a whole little
Yeah,
smuggling ring going.
maybe like Dame Tiana or somebody.
Tiana Martico. I like that name.
Yeah, that's an
I'm
Oraid name.
I'm willing to roll with that. Yeah, Farian Garossi is getting a little smuggling ring or a little operation set up and roped Dame Tiana into it. Um
She doesn't learn to be careful enough.
mhm. So she was selling treats or favors to locals. Like, was she pulling from the quartermaster's stuff, or like were they selling battlefield relics? What do we think about that? Or was it just like stealing, like, or not stealing, but well, it says she was stealing supplies. Maybe. Hmm.
Stealing supplies seems like it's probably
Or
from.
sorry, not stealing, selling supplies to locals for special treats or favors. So she could have just been selling, yeah, the stuff that you guys are brewing behind the shed.
That supplies, I guess.
Yeah. Technically, you had like,
Moonshine supplies.
yeah, technically,
I mean, we'd be using supplies to make those,
Yeah,
presumably.
yeah.
presumably. Um,
Because I remember it was Garossi, I think Gray, and I think the quartermaster like kind of knew about it if I remember correctly. But like
yeah, but an internal operation, like,
is
making
different, yeah.
making small batch for a few people on the sly. Quartermaster knows what they can lose without compromising the Legion, right?
Selling.
If you're selling, well, now we have a problem. So so the Dame Tiana was caught. Curious if anybody specific caught her, or if it's just hmm. Any thoughts
Wa-
there? I
Was
mean,
it
I guess somebody's
Liam
been.
or the Earl like trying to kiss up to
Yeah,
the higher
yeah,
the higher
Oh,
ups?
oh, I hate it.
that was great.
I feel like it's one of them to be like, oh, look how, like that little snitch in class.
Mhm.
Oh, I feel like in that case, like Liam makes a certain kind of sense, but
Yeah,
Alistair does as well.
I think
Uh,
Alistair's too self-involved to worry about that.
mm,
So I think Liam's a
Yeah. He's
yeah.
like, that's beneath him, right? Whereas Liam is like anything, anything to get
Yeah,
the eye
Liam's
up.
Liam's just got his sergeant's bars and is feeling like fucking cock of the walk, and finds maybe he's like just out, just like getting a walk, just like show off his new officer, his new rank, and catches Dame Tiana uh selling Legion brewed shine to some of these locals, um and goes and drags her before the marshal. Is that all sounding? Yeah, I guess, like, no,
Is it the
Liam,
quartermaster? Because I mean,
Liam,
we're stealing supplies, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can go either way. You can take it to the quartermaster, but the marshal is the one who deals with like all matters of personnel. So, yeah, like dealing out punishments and stuff would be marshal's jurisdiction. But you are right. Yeah, it might be the quartermaster if you're looking for more of an explanation. Although Liam, yeah, what would you do? The prompt just says they are caught.
I think you'd go to the marshal because, I mean, people know Wahib is a teddy bear.
Do you take the dame with you, or do you report it more on the
Oh
sly?
no, yeah, she's if he can drag her by the ear, he'll do that.
No aura solidarity, not even a lick of it.
Oh my
What
goodness.
better way to lock in his ascent than to make sure someone else stays down?
Wow. The star's on the rise.
Also, he needs every point he can get now.
So I'm curious about two things here. Although people are free to take the story wherever else they want. One, I'm curious what your response is to Liam coming in with a rookie, one of the grinning ravens, saying she's been stealing, um, or she's been selling Legion supplies for special treats or favors. Um, I'm curious about what the dame gets out of this, what special treats or favors she's been getting. Maybe we should maybe decide that first. But then the other thing is like the rest of the ravens. What is your reaction to watching one of your own get carted before the marshal for disciplinary action?
I think towards the point of the Marcher Lord, I think there's like just sort of a very like non-committal neutral, like, thank you for bringing this matter to my attention. And then it'll kind of basically be dismissed. Because I think the Marshal wants to be very careful here because there needs to be a certain level of social control. Like you need to sort of like people do need to know that if you fuck up, there's consequences. Like that is very important. You can't just do whatever. But she also wants to kind of discourage people to like go around and look for it. right? Because you also don't want to create, especially given that we're cooped up, we're kind of like trapped, tensions are already high. You want to avoid like starting to pointing fingers at each other and like, like starting to like, oh, if I accuse someone of something, I'm gonna get like a promotion out of it, right? So I think there is just a, like you did your job, that's fine. But I think the Marcher Lord might be a little bit disappointed that there's like no standing ovation or like just a very neutral response because she doesn't necessarily want to encourage this. And then whatever happens to the dame will happen privately between her and the marshal.
Liam, you're dismissed.
I mean, he doesn't love it, but he knows it'll just make more of us didn't give you protests, so
Um,
That's growth.
Ben and Mark, what are the reactions from the rest of the Ravens? I don't think we've seen any of them on screen. Like Malak, we named because we possibly might have used them for a scene and then decided somebody else. But I don't think the others. You've got kind of full reign here. But Sharmila, Sverena, Livel, and Malak, very Barton and Zimyati, uh heavy squad, it seems like. Well, other than the Dame.
Uh,
The story I'm spinning here is I'm thinking Dame Tiana was a little out of place in that squad,
yeah.
but had convinced the rest of the crew that like she's a little more down to earth than your average Ore. Like I think, you ask Malik or Serena or whoever, and they'd probably say like maybe she was um
Not
not
so
so imperious as like some of her brethren. She could hang. Um, but I don't think they like realized the extent to which she was desperate to connect with other Orites on other squads. And that led her down a dark path.
mm,
Not even that dark. It's just
yeah.
like a slap on the wrist path. But I think who would have that perspective? I feel like Sverena would have that perspective. I think she thinks that this is a betrayal.
Yeah. And I think I kind of pervades through the rest of the squad. Like we kind of extended a little bit of grace and they squandered it.
And Marshall, let's be a little clear about what exactly the punishment is. Is it just I don't know. What do you I will also say currently your supplies are zero. The whole point
Mhm.
of full swing was to get supplies. Um, so you don't really have supplies for her to be uh sending off.
Yeah. I think it may sound like a mundane punishment, but I think it's something like her rationing, like her rations are going to be like cut quite severely. And I think like sort of the karmic element of that is basically like, you've been taking more than you were warranted, you were given. So now you're kind of like giving that back, right? Because the
Mhm.
supplies that we like don't spend on you now, we save. But I think there's also the very like social element of that. Like people will see her eat less. People will see her have less. Like everyone will know. And I think there's something very mundane but miserable about like, I mean, they're not like starving her, but she is definitely like getting like just enough food. And it's like all the bad quality stuff, right? Like it's just like very mundane, but it's also one of the few comforts that maybe you have in the army is that you get fed regularly and like relatively well. And to have this threat over your head, like we could take that away. Like that is not a right you have. It is a privilege. Do not forget that. And I think that is sort of the message being sent here of don't fuck around because it can be taken away. Um, so I think that's it. There's probably like some kind of yeah, like watch duty or like some sucky, embarrassing tasks. But I think it's mostly the your rations are cut for whatever period of time and like the social element of that.
Do you punish her personally, or do you take it out on the entire Raven squad?
I think her personally, I don't see a point.
Okay,
No.
cool. Do me a favor, and I'd like you to attach a note to the Dame's sheet. Um, let's just call it level 1 harm, just famished. If we do an R&R phase, it's not going to heal it. Um, One, because I don't want to just undo that immediately, and two, because the whole point is that she's not getting a chance to rest. She's not getting the R&R of the rest of the squad. Also, I think so. Normally, when you lose supplies and you have no supplies to lose, it turns into morale loss. I want to leave this to a bit to a fortune roll and say on a, essentially it's going to be a 50-50. It's going to be a 1 die fortune roll. On a 4 up, the amount of supplies that she took were relatively insignificant. They were on a scale that doesn't really matter. On a 1 to 3, uh, a combination of just a legionnaire going and doing this, but also the supplies that she was siphoning off, is going to result in a 1 morale loss. So let's have quartermaster. You're the one who is like, after this is all done, you hear about this, you have to go and take stock of like you have to go take stock of your inventory. Somebody has gone into your space and has been like selling off your supplies, and it's time for you to take inventory. So go ahead and give me a 1 die fortune roll, please. /R 1d6, I think will suffice, but however you want to take care of it, or just roll a die. A 3. You find more gone than you thought. Uh, Maybe Farian has been taking more than just what you thought. What is your reaction to
Varian
this?
sweating and hoping the spy master doesn't show up again. Like, please, no, that was terrifying. I will say, um, I did make like Valentina. I think it's Valentina. Yeah, so Valentina has in her little like blurb that she basically only joined the Legion to like try and send money back home. So I wonder if maybe like Farian got the dame and she kind of got like she wasn't that careful, like not the way that Farian thinks is like this criminal mastermind who's doing all of this. And I wonder if she got like Valentina in there as well, who like out of desperation maybe kind of did the same, and that's why so much has gone. But she didn't get caught, so she's being quiet.
I mean, I'm game with adding that to the fiction. Um,
I think that's interesting because then we maybe have Farian who is now thinking like, wait, why is so much gone? Like I didn't do that. But that's kind of where the chain goes. So I think
yeah.
that brings a few people into interesting positions.
Also, hold up. How many soldiers do you not have? I thought you guys were like a full roster almost. What?
We should
Am I
be.
like I'm seeing Shattered Lions are empty.
Hmm, are they?
Star
Yeah, the
Vipers
Shattered Lions are empty except for one guy.
are they?
And then
Wait.
everybody else should be full except the three that just died.
let me check your marshal sheet. Who is Gallant
I gave
Ruben?
everyone names, but I haven't given everybody stories yet.
Gallant Ruben. Do I not have a Gallant Ruben? Okay, I guess I need to create a rookie. I'll make a note. I'll deal with this later. I don't want to take your guys' time. Resolve roster differences.
I mean, I'll shuffle them around again anyway.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
yeah, so we can have like a soldier squad again and
Cool. Ping me when you get done with those on
yeah.
your sheet, and I will make the sidebar list here match it to the best of my ability. Which is all of it. Uh, but quartermaster, yeah. How also whoever's in charge of morale, is that Marshall?
That brings us to 8, which is still
Yeah.
2 actions for the
Yep, yep,
quartermaster.
yep. Quartermaster, how do you feel seeing like your supply tent was already pretty barren, but you knew what you had? But how do you feel seeing like additional crates and boxes gone?
Wahib has been very generous and I think very tolerant of people maybe, taking a little bit extra here and there, anything to keep morale up, keep people happy, and keep things moving in a good way. That's over now. He will only be taken advantage of once.
How do things change around the camp?
It's going to be guarded for now, first off. Uh, Voluntarily, presumably, but and he's going to be taking much stricter records. He'd been purposefully a little loose on it, but no, that's done.
Oof. Rough going times for the Legion.
Does Farian get to guard it, or is he banned?
I don't think he would be trusted to do that, would he?
Yeah, he's banned.
Yeah,
Interesting.
let's get the fox to guard the hen house.
Farian didn't do it, is the thing. He when he was in charge, it was only a little
Still kind of his
Fantastic.
fault, though.
fully, but I don't think
And
he'd
a
say
bad
that.
example.
Are there any follow-up threads that we want to follow up there, or are there any just sort of open scenes from anything else before we move into the hard mechanics of campaign phase? Going once. I mean, obviously, again, I'll leave it on the table, but I do know that like I agree with Jazzy. Once we move into like sort of numbers and mechanics, getting back into storytelling phase is sometimes a bit of a rough hurdle. So offers on the table now, but cool. If anybody has anything they want to follow up on or any story stuff, let me know. But for now, let's head into campaign phase summary. So first things first, time passes. Commander, please increase time and pressure by 1.
Right.
I believe if I am correct, we have 1 tick left on the fall deepens clock, the middle
That is
clock.
correct. Yep.
Cool. Quartermaster does not have to spend 1 food because you have mobile carts. At least those are still operating. So there's that. We have no lore keeper to tell tales of the Legion. Quartermaster, you have 2 campaign actions, and Spymaster, you are there as well. In case you want to augment or do anything there. But let's start with the quartermaster. Uh, you have laborers as well. Although, yeah,
That'll finish off the siege weapon clock.
cool. You have a siege weapon. Uh, yeah, I think just like trebuchets. You have a battery of trebuchets, um, which can be useful. Unless you have a better idea for what you think the siege weapon might be.
No, it seems good, mobile.
Yeah. Yeah, and can be taken apart to move through difficult terrain, which you're going to be facing soon. You still have two campaign actions because your laborers are free.
Yeah. I think it makes sense to get a rest and recuperation in there, considering uh, the hits we took
Mm-hmm.
to some specialists. Um, and where are we at for stress in general? We got some pretty highly stressed folks, don't we?
Got some folks maxed out on stress, I believe.
Yeah. That
Uh, I should let the marshal answer that question. Marshal, that's your job.
Part of my job I'm not good at. Yeah, I mean the ones that just came back are very stressed. I think some of our specialists are also still.
Yeah, let's take a look. Uh,
I mean, yeah, they're all hurt, and I think stress wise,
Actually, I think stress-wise, it looks like you guys are
yeah,
doing
they
you're
seem okay. I
oh
think
well,
it's mostly the ones that just
boys.
got back. Foyes is always fucked up.
That's just how he is.
That's really just how he is. He comes
When
back from every mission just absolutely like bleeding through the arbors, just puffing like cigarettes through like all five fingers. And then he's like, put me back in, coach, it's fine.
um yeah, so I mean your squad, your guys that just got back are a little hairy. Um
yeah, I think liberty and rest and recuperation are the way to go. Although it would be good to start another long-term project soon,
okay.
because we have all those laborers who currently are just resting now.
Well, I mean, no, they're spending this phase doing stuff. We've just resolved it. They're busy building shit.
Mechanically, they
Yeah,
are
yeah.
currently resting. Um, so yeah, everyone clears 3 stress and a tick in your healing boxes.
Cool. I'll go through the silver stags and see if there's anything that needs to happen. I don't think so, because I think they're all new, actually. Yeah. All right, silver stags are clear. Also, quartermaster, you have a mercy who I think is on the mend. But because you're doing an R&R, they can now clear their wounded uh tick
That
there.
is correct, yes.
Cool.
I'm also gonna give Leah a moment to rest so she can clear her wounded.
Got it. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Spies are all healthy again.
Um, I guess everybody go through. I guess somebody has to clear a couple. Okay, somebody got Voyas. Um,
I'm going through the list.
gotcha. All right. Thank you, Marshall. Fantastic. While Marshall does that, Spy Master, I got the note about you healing one, but you have two other spies.
Yes.
What's your plans?
Ortis is gonna keep on expanding that network.
Okay,
He's good at it. So that's
go for it.
4.
Uh,
That's 2 ticks plus 1 for his ability. So
three ticks.
3. Might
Awesome.
get
One
2.
more, one more roll like that, and you get another node on the network.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be in it long enough for me to benefit from it, but I'm hoping to make expanding the network faster by expanding the network. Ooh. And then Onya Tin, I mean, he's the best at augmenting missions, but maybe I should send him on an expand network assignment too. Just go all in on that and then see what we can do. Mm, No, he only rolls one die, which means he might get injured. I don't want that. I'll send him on augment mission.
Okay. Wait, he's is he? Oh no, no, you're yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We're
that was
gaming
for the
the
bonus die.
software.
Yeah,
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 yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Too big.
Fantastic.
All right, that's the spies.
That's awesome. Um, that is our campaign actions. We look to the commander. Commander, will the Legion advance to the next location, or will you stick
I
around?
think it's time to go. Yeah.
Awesome. You guys had an arrangement with a local smuggler
Did.
to get you out. Is that in locals? Yeah, Angelica Marskovna is now attached to the Legion. The smuggler's fiance.
Right.
You've been tasked with escorting her to Skydagger Keep. Maybe we'll learn more about her later. But for now, you have two paths that you can use to leave Fort Callisto. Once you are outside the fort walls. Also, what does this look like? To be more clear, you're not allowed to leave.
Mhm.
From Jonakis's perspective, does he just like one day walk over to where the Legion had camped and you're just gone?
Yeah, I think it like it had to happen in pretty short order. So we were just like, we're moving out at this hour. Everyone vanish. Uh,
Yeah, I guess what did the operation look like? Was it just like a pack up and like was it very clean like that
yeah,
or
I think it's like a clean packing up operation, but not like as what do you call like not as obvious as like if we were just leaving. Everyone kind of like packs up in their tents, and then like when it's time to go, like tents come down, everything gets on and we have to like if we're getting smuggled out, we went out through some route we found. I'm trying to remember exactly.
it was essentially so funny enough the last mission took place in catacombs.
Yeah,
It was also like a different path of these catacombs
yeah.
instead of going to the
Maybe it was attached to like that. Like we have to do this mission, and it's kind of like we kind of snuck in through like as long as people are going, the rest of us are going too. And instead of coming back, we just left. Yeah.
fantastic. Um all right. So from Fort Callisto, you have two options. You have the high road or the maw.
I think we're gonna go high road.
High road it
Yeah.
is. Let me drag you up to the high road. Let me do, do, do. Uh, that's what I wanted this whole time. I'll deal with that later. Um, the high road. Let me clip and copy paste. Do, do, do. Largely used as a pilgrimage route for minor trade in the summer months, and for minor trade in the summer months. This is a route that cuts above the tree line and up to where the air is thin. Lower altitudes possess a stark beauty. Trees shift to coniferous and eventually stop altogether, leaving mostly lichen-covered rock. Animal life dwindles until the only beasts frequently seen are small mountain rodents and the birds studying you from above. Though still well traveled, upkeep of the path hasn't been a priority, even more so since the war started. Now, the decrepit sky bridges linking the shale and granite plateaus are mostly frequented by refugees escaping the new horrors that the Broken have cooked up. Most passage through these lands is hiking or climbing due to the uncertainty of the quality of the bridges. It's easy to be ambushed, and the lack of terrain options makes it hard to run from a fight. Food and fuel are scarce, and the cold winds make travel treacherous and slow. Often the altitude and weather are enemies as dangerous as the ones chasing the Legion. These narrow paths and stone bridges are also a source of strength. Undead will have to follow the same roads, and the sky bridges form natural bottlenecks on which to fight them. Fighting the undead is never without cost, but here the odds are far closer to even if you can turn the terrain to your advantage. Um, Supplies on the high road are so scarce that you cannot acquire assets this campaign phase while you are here. Furthermore, any legionnaire not wearing winter clothing on a mission should wake up with in the morning with level 1 harm frostbite unless they take precautions to mitigate this somehow. I
Well,
will link that. Special rules. There's that for you all. Your available missions here are Assault and Recon. And yes, there is no asset rating for this. You cannot acquire assets while you are here on the high road. Also, um, it's been 2 mission phases. So Commander, you get 1 intel from the Horned One. I think what you see is like as you guys are climbing, she's taken the form of a horned bird, and is doing overhead recon. So the intel that you get is nebulous until, of course, you spend it either to get foresighter information or to get a special mission.
Yeah.
Oop, no, go away. Um, sorry, we forgot to roll pressure to see
Oh,
time
yeah.
advancing.
Thank you.
So yes, Quartermaster, you can spend horses to reduce the pressure. Will you be doing so? I will let you know.
We've
You
only
only
got
have one
2
more
fire
location.
mains.
Yeah. You only have 2 locations left.
well,
How's our pressure?
We're at 1.
We're at 1. Yeah.
I think we'll forgo it this time.
Okay. Commander, roll 1 die, please.
Die.
On a 3, remind me what
3.
happened.
Great. That's good. 1
Awesome. However,
takes us to
that does mean the clock completes.
Boop.
sure.
Fall has completed.
Winter's come.
Winter is coming. Well, winter has come. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Why can I not? There we are. That means the broken get to choose new abilities. I'll deal with that later. Note to self. Choose abilities for broken. And what else? Cool. Pressure, of course, resets to 0. Commander, choose a mission type to focus on. Your available types are recon and assault.
Let's let's go for recon, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will also choose recon, because that's what the Horned One likes. So Commander focus, GM focus. Commander, will you be spending 1 intel to guarantee a actually did you guys, you got the augment mission, but you didn't do the one that gets you like to let you choose the specific one.
No, that would be research, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Commander, will you be spending 1 intel to guarantee a special mission?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. I'll make a note. Special mission. Commander spent one intel for special mission. If I remember correctly, I told you about one of the ones coming up here. I don't
Perhaps.
remember why, but I do remember talking about one of them. Um, yeah, we'll see which one makes sense. Fantastic. Da, da, da. All right, I think that's it for campaign phase. So we can anybody else have anything they want to do? If not, we can call the session a little early. Because I have to go generate missions.
That's good.
Okay. Um, then we'll go ahead and call it there as we see the Legion moving up into the maw and eventually setting up camp, maybe on, I don't know, one of the plateaus. I get a very oh, what are those mountains in China that have like
Oh,
the
yeah.
chains that you have to like walk along, the grab onto and like the very
Oh
narrow
yeah.
ledges? Is it
Huashan, I think. I mean, I know that Huashan has it. I don't know if that's the one that you mean. So I
yeah.
think there's like multiple ones.
Yeah. That's just the thing they do in China. I was also
It is, and it's horrifying.
yeah, absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, maybe there's a nifty little plateau for the Legion to camp on. Um, all right. With that all done, we move into stars and wishes. Stars are things you like. Wishes, we are coming up. Like I said, you have the Maw and Skydagger Keep. It is all coming down to this. Um, but yeah, whoever wants to go.
A star for specifically the moment that the Earl like was getting corruption attacked and like had this whole little like nerd out moment, but had to just drop it and sprint away. I thought that was very funny. And also worked nicely with the whole cinematic nature of the catacomb exploration situation. I think that was a particular moment that stood out today. Also, a star for the dice being real dramatic on the secondary. It was a little painful to kill those soldiers, but I feel like we set up some drama, and now that we're at the back end of the campaign, you really start to value your little guys. And so I think that's a star to the dice, but also to all of you for giving them life. And I think that was a really cool moment that feels specific to the way this game plays.
Yeah, I'll second the start to the Indiana Jones ending of the catacombs thing. About like a good, like overall, like a good arc of action with all the things. Um, yeah, the just the drama of like dealing with the petty thievery in camp. It's really fun to see, and seeing like how do we maintain order, but also like we still have to do stuff. And not just like demoralize everyone. It's really good. Yeah, just excited to see what's coming up on the road.
I'll echo what's been said. This felt like a bit of a hard lesson compared to how well things have gone, and maybe this is as we move into the back half and the third act. We got to be a little more desperate than I think we were, so this is fitting. And thank you, Roll20. You can go back to giving us sixes now.
Yeah, stars. I I like the Marcher Lord like just snitching people to like get a leg up. I like the little bit of fiction that we created about Faria and just Yeah, like kind of be like I like that the petty thievery like was more than that, and it set up like three characters in this weird like dynamic with each other and other characters. Because like even though like it wasn't really brought up, I imagine that yeah, like the quartermaster might have been favorable toward Therian before, but that's probably more tense now. Um, and this the if we ever get to play with that squad, I think it would be interesting to see like how they react to Tiana, and like how that play out. Because even though they didn't get punished, I do imagine there's this sense of like it was your squad that fucked up, right? Like I mean, people know that she's in that squad. So that was interesting to me. I like Bone. I wish we could keep him. My boy. I'm very sad he had to go. Um, yeah, I want to follow up with the deaths because given that they were like in a secondary mission, it kind of feels like I mean I like that it's open and that we can potentially like bring it in later, but like right now it kind of feels a little bit like okay, I
I get
guess.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a bit too in limbo for me personally. Like I like have no having like some idea of what happened there, but I do think it's interesting that we can like bring that up potentially in like Devil's Bargains. And be like, I don't know, you are reminded of how Zaya died for you or something or whatever. So that we get to define it then. Um, and yeah, I'm interested to see what those other two locations are and how we start wrapping this up.
Those I forgot a wish, which was I um am looking forward to seeing specialists back in play as player characters.
Yeah, all rookie squad was fun, but it's time to get back to our primary, our regular scheduled
Yeah,
television.
I like the dynamic when you have a someone more important than the rookies on the team.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and that was a tough one for me because I'm like I I have these specialists here, but the stories about you guys and yeah, that special mission that facet of the special mission felt
Cool though.
a little jarring for me because I didn't really know what to do with them other than just have them comment on things. Um
Yeah, I think it works because they're kind of like I guess you are technically on the same mission, but also like they don't really care about you. So like,
yeah.
like it doesn't feel like they're the specialists that have to
Yeah.
be in the army with you for the rest of this, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun little sneak peek. There's a like I said, there's a fan written campaign that is just the Banner Guard.
Oh.
Um uh that like you can go and explore more about what they were doing, what their mission is,
Hmm.
and there even is a special mission that is the analog to this. Um so that part's really fun and fascinating, but like mechanically I don't roll dice. So I can't exactly have them go and like move shit. I can use them for fictional positioning, but anyways. Um, yeah, my stars. Yeah, I also really love the Indiana Jones vibe of the end of the mission. I always love a good Indiana Jones escape. They never get old, especially in systems like this where I feel like they want you like this in Savage Worlds where it's like they want you running away from shit and jumping over obstacles and doing stuff. They let you do other things, but they seem to really enjoy that kind of stuff. Um yeah. But also I really want to start like the back at camp scene was interesting because I'm so used to trying to come in and like doing storytelling, but doing it this way where it was more sort of question and response and we built out these characters together and found out more about the Legion together. Much more my happy place. And I like that we got this cool stories and we had moments, we had snippets, we had, the Marshal got a chance to shine. We got some quartermaster action. Um, we got to learn more about like the squad and our cute little blorbos. And yeah, when we do play them or see them again, we will know these things. And I know that's true because when we lost three characters today,
Mhm.
um, we knew about them. They had little stories. They had these little things, which I think is what this game wants to do and what this game does well, is it's situations like this when you lose these people, you recall who they were and what they did, and there's something powerful and almost ritualistic in that that even when I chafe with the dice systems and mechanics sometimes, like those are the things that brought me to this game in the first place, and those are the things that I love and attach to. Um, as for not talking about the way the rookies died, that's on me. I should have asked for more clarification on how those rookies died, or not rookies, the soldiers in the secondary mission. Um, we can talk more about that later, or we can leave it nebulous. I think there are two main things. Either, a big fight could have broken out because we had characters getting impaled, we had, wild magic getting summoned. But I also like the idea that somebody just got left in there until dawn when the market faded away from existence. Very El Dorado. Um, and they might just be there for the rest of time. Um, all different and cool options, but yes, that's my bad, and I apologize for that. I should have asked for specificity on their demises. But you're all right. We can also now possibly invoke it later.
I feel
Um,
like now that we haven't defined it, it almost feels like it's a mask, like it's a CFB mask that we're gonna mark
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
like
yeah,
some point, like something in the mission's gonna come up, and I feel like now we're gonna be like, oh, that reminds me of, or like this is the moment we
Yeah.
flash back to me witnessing.
yeah,
Like, I mean,
absolutely.
obviously we don't have to do it like that, but like that's how I'm imagining it now because we didn't immediately specify it, which I think could also be cool, and then has like this lasting effect where it's not just the dice say they're dead now.
Yeah.
Okay. But like it actually matters, and we like do get the emotional input just a bit later, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I will try and remember that when we see who are the survivors. I feel like maybe we should make a note on their sheet, like
Mhm.
uh
Kirish and Kole, which I
Ole.
think it may be good that it happened to this squad because I feel like these are like the core guys. Like I feel like if we play Kirish
Um,
again, nobody's gonna forget that Zaya died.
I'm just attaching a note to Cole and Kirish's sheet that they survived Operation Full Swing. And if we want to,
Yeah, whoever plays Kirish next time is gonna have some
Uh,
heavy lifting to do.
yeah.
yeah,
Something.
awesome. I think that's everyone for stars and wishes. So, any other stars and wishes or last thoughts before I close the recording and send you all away for a week? All right. Uh, well, I love you all dearly, and I will see you all in a week, hopefully, barring health and just life. But hope things go well, and I will generate missions. I will see you all next week.
See you next
See you
time.
around.
See you soon.
Thanks. Feel better.
Thanks.